guys, welcome back to the Next Season Podcast, episode 38. And this one is special. It's inspiring, it can be a little heavy, and it's a conversation I've been looking forward to since I started this journey in creating this podcast. I'm able to connect with an old teammate, someone who I never got to share the field with, but we say we're teammates, but someone who has become a friend and a brother. His name is Jimmy Mudgett. His story of resilience and of overcoming is one you won't soon forget. Jimmy was training for an Ironman. He was riding on a bike just a few months out from competing in the Ironman when he was hit by a car. And only by a miracle was not paralyzed or even killed. This episode, this conversation is about identity. It's about character. It's about life blindsiding you and putting everything in perspective, and then getting back up and facing it all again like a true badass. If you're in a season of transition, if you're dealing with pain, you're not sure if you can keep going, this conversation is for you. Here's my long overdue conversation with the other Maryland Ironman, Jimmy Mudgett. Jimmy Mudgett, welcome to Next Season Podcast. How you doing, man?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. I'm excited. How you doing?
Man, pleasure's mine. Pleasure's mine. This is a long time coming. You probably remember I first kind of raised this idea to you when we were at a birthday party for an old teammate over a year ago.
Yep, I agree.
So when I first started this, I knew I wanted to have some guests and kind of tell their story. Just cool, inspirational, down to earth people with amazing stories that have done really cool stuff and have a story to tell. And you were definitely one of those people. So to be able to connect with you is certainly a privilege and an honor of mine. So thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, I'm excited. I love following along on all the stuff that you do. I love your message, and it's also cool that you're a friend. So it's special for me to follow along.
I appreciate it, man. So let's jump in. Take me back, like the beginning. Where are you from? Like, who is Jimmy Mudgett? Where'd you come from?
Yeah, from the beginning. So born and raised in Carroll County, Maryland. Just mom, dad, brother, sister. Started playing sports at a young age, and that's the sports followed me into college, and that's kind of really like who I am, because the sports lead you to friends and people, and they really shape you.
Yeah. So aside from baseball, what other sports did you play?
Tried all the sports when I was really young, but baseball and basketball mostly, I'd say, once I kind of got going on things. Ended up playing basketball through high school. Wasn't very good, but always had a lot of hustle, and the coach liked that. And then obviously baseball stuck all the way through college. But I always used to tell people I love baseball. I really do. I think it's my favorite sport, but I used to love playing basketball. Just so high paced. I just wasn't as good at basketball.
So at what point did you make that switch and know that baseball was the direction? Was that junior year high school, senior year high school?
It might have been junior year. Actually, funny story. So last weekend, I saw my old high school basketball coach. He's still the coach there. Great guy, great coach. And I'm still very good friends with him. But I think when I knew basketball wasn't my thing and baseball was, junior year, I was on the varsity team, and a couple games into the season, the coach said, "Don't shoot. You're not allowed to shoot." And I think that was when I knew basketball wasn't going to be my thing.
Yeah, even John Stockton and Steve Nash had to make some shots. So I feel you on that, man. I feel you.
Yeah. Oh, I would still shoot, but he would tell me, "I told you not to shoot."
Can I take a layup?
Yeah, I would probably miss some of those too.
Yeah, oh, no doubt. I'm with you, man. I was the same way. Like it's a sport that I love to play, like a game I love to play, but I was terrible. I was absolutely terrible.
Yeah, it's tough. It's fun. A lot of movement back and forth. Baseball is tricky, as we know. Like if you have a bad pitching outing, you don't pitch for a couple more days. If you strike out, you don't get another at bat for a couple innings. And basketball, if you make a mistake in basketball on offense, you can steal the ball back 2 seconds later. And I love that about basketball.
Yeah, it's a great perspective. You have to have a very short-term memory in a sport like that. You're exactly right.
Yeah. Yep.
Very cool. So speaking of that, right? So short-term memory and talking about the kind of the character and the type of athlete you were and your mentality. Take us back even further. What kind of kid were you growing up? Like what was life like in the Mudgett household?
I can already tell you're going to have a lot of good questions today. It's funny because as a kid, I was always super quiet. I was really shy. I have 3 kids now, and my son is learning how to play baseball and basketball, and he's the same way, like very timid and laid back. And that's how I was. I'm trying to think when that might have changed, but at some point, I just kind of shook all that and became a lot more aggressive. It might have been when I got into high school. You get a little more confidence, but very, very quiet, very timid, and very shy. So I don't know. I think that kind of changed when I got into high school.
Yeah. Do you know where that confidence came from? Like,
What?
could you identify, was there
That's it.
specific moments where you started to feel like change coming
Yeah.
out?
Yeah. My mom she always says this story and it sounds funny. When I wanted to make the high school basketball team. So in 8th grade, I did a jumping program. I forget what it was called. All the kids were doing it. It was all these exercises and you did it every single day for 8 weeks or whatever. And I swear, like you track your vertical, and I swear I got a lot more athletic from that. And then I got more confident. And that was like a turning point. And then I think I went into the preseason for basketball before even tryouts happened, just open gym. And I was like, wow, I can keep up with these guys and the sophomores. And like, I could jump higher. I just got to rebound over a big guy. And I think at that point I was like, okay, I can fit in. I can do this. It, I've never thought about that, but it's funny since now that you say it, I kind of do have that memory of like a turning point when I thought that I could fit in.
Yeah. Love that. So talk to me about your high school. Like, was it a big school, small school? How many people in your graduating class? What was that experience like?
Yeah, a little bit of a story there. Another good question. So small school, we were in Maryland, we were considered a 2A. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we were on the smaller side. The interesting thing was that we were a brand new school. So my freshman year, we only had freshmen and sophomores. And then obviously we added a class after that. So I had a really different experience because I didn't have juniors and seniors that would push me in certain ways on the field or on the court. So that was interesting. But a really small school, a lot of good things came from that because I think the good things are I was able to maybe I wouldn't have made the basketball team. Maybe I wouldn't have been on varsity. We didn't have varsity baseball or basketball when I was a freshman because we only had sophomores and freshmen. But maybe I wouldn't have made the varsity baseball team my sophomore year. So there were good things about that. But the bad things were, in my opinion, I never had the experience of having juniors and seniors above me. I also never had, I kind of wish, I still say this to friends, that I had juniors and seniors that would push me, that you could look up to, that you could try to catch athletically, things like that. So small school, but very, a really good school. It's a public school. I'm still really good friends with the basketball coach. His son ended up being in Ashley and I's wedding party. Still talk to some of the teachers, some of the coaches, still go to a lot of the basketball games, some of the baseball games. I'd say a small town feel for sure.
It's really interesting, like the pros and cons of that and the impact that it has in different ways on your development as a human being, as a character, as a student athlete, as a man. That's a critical time. So, but in knowing you and then also hearing a little bit about this, I think you've got a lot of that family foundational stuff that helped you develop character. And I'm going to come back to that in just a second. This whole, because you didn't have the example necessarily in some ways in high school from an upperclassman to a lower classman, that traditional perspective of development. But I'm going to come back to that in a second. Before we do that, so now junior year, senior in high school, right? Your athletics are serious and you're starting to feel like you've got a potential career choice ahead of you, or a college opportunity in front of you to play baseball. How did you end up where you ended up and what was that like?
Oh man, there's a story there too. So let's see. We ended up having a really good baseball team. I had my 2 best friends. One guy was my year. He went committed and played at Western Carolina, later on transferred to Towson. And then a guy younger than me, also another best friend to this day. He was looking at a couple big schools and he ended up playing at Towson as well. A couple other like junior college kids and stuff like that. So the they were always the ones that would push me. I always looked up to them. But the kind of the backstory is I was a junior. I was pitching against our local high school that's like 5 minutes away. It was where I was going to go to school my whole life until they built Century High School the year before I went. My parents went to this school. It's called South Carroll High School. I was a junior. They had a senior pitching. His name was Ryan Harrison. He ended up getting drafted that year by the Expos in the 23rd round, I think it was. So just a stud, probably threw like 90, 92, which was great at that time. Coach Thompson from Mount St. Mary's came to watch Ryan Harrison pitch, and I happened to be pitching against him. And I think we lost the game, but I had a great outing. I threw really well, looked sharp, felt good. I didn't even think anything of it. I didn't think that he was there to watch me at all. And then later on, come to find out, that's where he saw me for the first time. He followed me a little bit after that. And then it kind of worked out at the Mount. I think late in the signing period, I think there was an early signing period and a late signing period. He still needed one more pitcher. So he called me, and it happened really fast. Just my mom and my dad and I went up to the Mount, shook hands, and signed probably within a week. So yeah, coach was recruiting someone else. I threw well. And that's a cool story because everyone has a story, I think, and you never know when it's going to happen or how it's going to end up.
In that, Jimmy is a testament in something that if you are really anybody, but if you're a high school athlete, understand really pay attention to what Jimmy just said, because coaches are watching. Even if you don't think that somebody is there to see you, they will observe and they will pick up on, and they're paying attention. They can't be everywhere. Coaches can't be everywhere at once. So if they're going to go to a game, they're not just watching one player. There are 30 players. There are 30 athletes on that field, right? And if you are putting out the right energy, the right intensity, you're a great teammate, you're hustling, you're grinding, even if the game doesn't go exactly to plan, who you are gets noticed. And also, if you put up a 5-for-5 game or you're lights out on the mound, but you're a crappy teammate and your body language sucks, coaches are going to write that off too. People are watching. And so here's an example where Jimmy got a college offer and an opportunity to go play in college, even though he didn't know that the scout or coach was there to see him.
Yeah, absolutely. I coach a little league baseball team now, and I'm a big character guy, just like you. And I'm teaching these kids, you're trying to teach them how to play baseball, but you're really trying to teach them how to be great adults, a good husband one day, a good brother, a good employee. It sounds so like, oh, my mom and dad used to tell me, you never know who's watching. And you kind of think, oh, whatever, mom and dad, like, that's not true. You're just saying that because that's what everyone says. And now that I'm an older guy and I'm a dad and I'm a coach, like, I really believe in it. You never know who's watching. You never know who's watching, not just with baseball or sports, but at home, your kids, when they're watching you, what kind of dad are you? What kind of mom are you? I mean, I own a company. We have a lot of employees. You never know. Like, there's so many times I see certain employees that are hustling and they care. And I take note of that stuff. And it's so important. And I agree. College coaches, like, you never know who's watching. You don't know who's taking note of how you're acting. And you have to be a good baseball player, but you can be a good player and have a bad attitude, and they're not going to recruit you. I totally believe in that.
Yeah. There are enough studs out there that have good attitudes.
Yes.
To fill a roster. And you're an Orioles fan, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So the new manager, and I don't know the whole story, but basically he got his chance to play in college, was a defensive first catcher, didn't hit that great, had a cannon of an arm, was a high character guy. And he got his opportunity to play, to fill in on a roster spot because a coach recommended it's like, he's going to work hard for you. He had a coach or a scout that made a call to another coach and said, he's going to play hard for you. He's going to play lights out defense. And that's how he got his opportunity in pro ball. That then turns into down the road an opportunity to manage a Major League Baseball team because of because of character.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a really cool story. Character goes a long way. I don't know if you know, this is kind of a side note, but the story with Matt Iden and how he became the strength and conditioning coach with the Nationals.
No.
So I'll tell it the best that I can. And I know this is a side note, but the story that I was told. So Matt Iden, did you play 1 year with him or did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I got there, he was, I think, 1 year older than me, and he was just a grinder. He would hustle. he would, like maybe I'd do like 1 or 2 workouts really early in the morning by myself in my whole college career. And he was there by himself those 2 times, which tells me he's doing stuff on his own and he's just a beast. So the story that I remember, and hopefully this is correct, you might want to talk to him one day, but I think he was working at a gym afterwards. And I think the guy that owned the gym was also, I think he was a strength and conditioning coach for the Nationals. This is, maybe I'm wrong, but this is what I remember. And I think, Matt, I didn't work so hard at this gym. I think he became a trainer. So many people liked him so much. The guy that owned the gym, it was the coach for the Nationals, asked him to come and help do certain things with the Nationals. And then he worked so hard. He outworked everyone. The players started to love him. Fast forward a little bit, at some point, they got rid of the strength and conditioning coach that kind of got Matt's foot in the door. And he was the head strength and conditioning coach for the Nationals for a handful of years. Like, I don't think he went to school for it. He outworked everybody in everything that he did every day. And people took note and he got an opportunity. Then the Nationals took note. The players took note. I know that's a side story, but you should look into that because I talk about that story all the time. Just you talk about a grinder and a hard worker and it paid off. It's incredible.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he was same way, high character guy, incredible work ethic, always positive, always optimistic, would do anything for you. I mean, he would cut my hair in college. Like I would go to his dorm room, he would cut my hair back when I had it. I certainly don't have it now, but no, he was always that way. And yes, he's on the short list as well of people I want to have on.
You should be.
So yeah, we'll have to, Matt, if you're out there, we're going to get you. So continuing on this theme, you mentioned your head coach in college. I'm gonna read something. This is what he said about you. He said, Jimmy was one of those players you wish you had every year. I can't say enough about his character and what he brought to the team. He was a great team captain, leading on and off the field, and was just a super person to be around. What does that mean to you?
Dude, it makes me emotional. Really emotional. I just saw Coach last week at the Pease golf tournament.
Yeah.
And he's my guy. He's a friend. He looks out for me. He cares about me. And I didn't realize it till later, but he cared about me at the Mount. He looked out for me at the Mount. So I had a scholarship to play there. Come to find out later on, I had more of a scholarship than a lot of my friends did. I did not perform on the baseball field like I should have. I had a good sophomore year, but got hurt at the end of that year. And I was injured my junior and senior year. But Coach never left my side. Like he would talk to me in a positive way. You know, what's going on? How are you feeling? What can we do to make it better? But he would never like threaten to take my scholarship away. He would never talk to me in a different way. He still treated me the same way. And as a matter of fact, I was a captain. I think it was my junior and senior year. And part of what makes me emotional is like I don't think we had captains every year. Maybe we did, but I was a junior. We had really good seniors. We had a really good team. And coach picked me as a captain, even though I was hurt. Maybe I didn't perform the way that I should have the first 2 years. And that meant a lot to me. I didn't even think that he even ever really remembered that I was a captain or that he did that. So the fact that years later, that's what he said in that statement is like really, really cool. So
yeah,
at the Pease golf tournament, when I saw him a week and a half ago, he's like, I mean, we're friends. We text and we talk every now and then, but he's like, Jimmy, come to my car. I have something for you. So I'm like in my head, what does he have for me? I go to his car. He pulls out 3 pictures. One is it's a big picture. It's the dog pile when we won the NEC tournament. I showed it to my kids and they're like, Daddy, where are you? I'm like, I'm on the bottom. So then the second picture is small and it's the lineup card, our team and Monmouth from when we won the championship game. So then my son's like, or my daughter, Daddy, where's your name? So that's when I had to tell him, well, I didn't play, which was kind of cool. So he gave me that. And then he gave me a third picture that was it had like 10 or 12 little pictures of different players on the team. Of course, I wasn't on that one either. So I'd explained to my kids finally at ages 10, 8, and 6 that I was a college athlete, but I was injured and it doesn't always work out the way that you want it to work out. And that's okay. So it kind of led to a cool conversation. But yeah, Coach could have given those pictures to anybody, but he waited for me and he gave them to me and he was excited. So that was cool.
Amazing. I
Yeah.
get chills. I mean, I goosebumps listening to that, because I think sometimes we can take for granted the impact that people have in our lives at different stages of life, but also, as you just noted, thinking about the impact that we have on people's lives. And it goes both ways. And the number of players that went through that program, and not everyone has that same relationship. Not everyone has that same dynamic, but you've got a coach who hundreds of players have gone through his program, and he's coached and influenced and impacted. And he still has that personal touch with a lot of them.
Yeah.
Along with that, I was at the Mount for a year and a half, and some of my best friends to this day came from that. I didn't finish the journey with them, and, players who came after, such as yourself. So it creates that brotherhood, when you've got a culture of high character people, and ultimately, that's, I think, the crux of what we had there and what we look for in people.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. Absolutely. So a little bit of a backstory. When I was trying to figure out where I was going to go play in college, every kid at that age wants to play at the biggest school possible, right? That maybe that's not the best thing for you, but that's what we all wanted to do. So, of course, none of the big Division I schools wanted to call a 6'1", 160-pound kid. But so my dad finally, he's like, they're not calling. We need to pick a school you can go to. So I talked to a couple D3 and D2, and then coach called. So I end up going to the Mount, which 45 minutes from home, super special. But my dad always says, he's like, it wasn't just baseball at the Mount that shaped you. He's like, what you learned being at the Mount and being around the people you were around, that's what shaped you. So pretty much I wanted to go to junior college and then try to go to a big Division I school when they didn't call me after high school. And they wanted me to find a place like Mount St. Mary's. Again, I was a kid. I didn't know. My parents did know. But so ending up at Mount St. Mary's and being around those types of people was incredible. I was the underdog my whole life. Like, what I'm used to being around people that are up here. So, and I told him, I said, when I was at Mount St. Mary's, I was one of the worst baseball players. I was nowhere close to the smartest guy. I wasn't as fast as them. I wasn't as strong as them. I wasn't as good looking as them. That's what shapes you. That pushes you every day to be better and be better just to fit in. And my dad swears that shaped me into the person that I am today. And it kind of gave me a really good kick in the butt to become the business person that I am today too. So Mount St. Mary's and the people that are there, they're all incredible. I've really, really, really good friends from the Mount, and I'll always be proud of that.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely agree. And, but again, the culture, you want to find a culture, whether you're looking for a team, a business, a new job, a college decision, types of friends, significant other, whatever it is, you want to find somebody that aligns, or something that aligns to your values, who you are and your goals, but also you bring certain energy and character to that culture as well. So it has to be a mutual fit. And you certainly brought it 100% and made a massive impact on the team and overall, just the culture there. So you're getting through college, and we have to start thinking about what's next. You graduate college, playing days are over. Where does Jimmy go next?
Yeah. So after the Mount, which is a tough time in your life, I do a lot of mock interviews now at high schools and tech centers, and I'm always like, I whisper to them, I'm like, do your teachers ask you, what do you want to do in life? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, well, I hate that question. Because I remember not liking that question when I was in high school and then when I was in college. What do you want to do? Where do you want to work? And it always bothered me because I didn't really know. Everyone wants to be successful, but you don't really know how you're going to get there. So I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I didn't have a specific major where I knew I was going to go down a certain road. I studied business, marketing, and management. My dad owned a business, so I kind of had interest in that. Unfortunately, I still think a business major is a little bit of like, it doesn't give you a ton of direction. So I didn't want to go work for my dad and uncle owned a company. I didn't want to go work for them right away. Well, even if I did, I don't know if I was invited. Family business. I think they wanted me to along with my brother and sister and my cousins, like they wanted us to prove that we were hard workers and we could be successful before we joined the family business.
Yeah.
So I went and sold cars for 2 years. Part of that was Steve Fay, who you played with, right? Him and his family owned all the car dealerships in Virginia. I always looked up to Steve, thought his family was awesome. I thought they were ultra successful people, but they were also like nice and fun and caring people. So
Yes.
I was like, my plan is to open a used car lot. So I'm going to go learn the business, work at a dealership, sell cars, maybe try to learn how to buy cars, learn about service, and then do the car dealership thing. So I ended up working at CarMax for a year, was successful there. I left there and I went to work at a Toyota dealership in Westminster. Did well there, sold a lot of cars. And at that point, my dad called me randomly. I mean, I talk to my dad all the time, but he called me when I was at work and he's like, I want you to come work for me. And I'm like, okay, we haven't really talked about that a ton. So I was like, well, when? And he's like, right now, I want you to put your 2 weeks in right now. I'm like, what are you talking about? So ended up joining the family business. It's collision repair. Our company now is Maryland Collision Center. So at that time it was Mudgett's Auto Body. My dad and uncle owned it. So I worked there for a couple years. My dad, brother, and I ended up splitting off from Mudgett's Auto Body and opening Maryland Collision Center. It's really been awesome. We have probably 170 employees. We have 8 locations. We're getting ready to open our ninth, which I'm sitting in right now. We're getting ready to open this up in about 4 to 6 weeks. By the end of the year, I'd say. We own 2 tow companies, and it's cool to have a big business and be successful that way. But really what drives us is just not the money, but the success, giving people opportunity, training them from the ground up, and seeing people in the office become a general manager of a location at 25 years old, hiring a kid out of the tech center that's in high school, does an apprenticeship with us, graduates, works for us for 4 or 5 years on our apprenticeship program, and then is making double or triple what his friends are making at age 21. So it's ultra competitive. Trust me, like I'm kind of quiet and laid back at home and with friends, but at work, I'm probably the most competitive person you'll ever meet. So it's push, push, push every single day. And the team that we've built, they're incredible. Like they all jumped on board and now they all push just as hard or harder than I do. So that really gave me, that's like the last, I guess it's been like 14 years since then. And the way we've been able to grow the business and be successful, it's really kind of it fulfills me. It gives me happiness. It kind of takes care of losing the competitive part of my life when I stopped playing Division I baseball, was just replaced by this business a couple years after that. There was a little gap in between that you and I talked about, but
Yeah.
business takes care of that.
Well, talk about that gap, because like you said, you're now what, 14, 15 years removed from playing competitive Division I athletics. And I know for you, as it is for most athletes, certainly myself, there's a physical competitive void. And we create this identity around who we are based on what we do. And for us, it was baseball players. We played since we were kids. That's what we did. And then all of a sudden, when that's done, whether that's injury or just natural end of the road, it ends at some point, and you have to take that energy and that mentality and put it into something else. You found that now, but like you said, there was a little bit of a gap. What'd you do in that gap?
Yeah. I think, kind of like I said earlier, what shapes you and what makes you the person that you are. A lot of my friends and my teammates like you and a bunch of others, that's who shaped me, made me who I was. But after college, when all you guys went away, we're not together every day anymore. That's like my second story of how I became the person that I am today. So I didn't play. I hurt my arm at the end of my sophomore year. I didn't play a lot junior or senior year. When I did, it was ugly. Probably my senior year, I started to have this feeling of, man, my baseball career is going to be over in 1 year. And then it turned into 8 months, 6 months. It's over. So I found myself kind of getting out of shape. And I looked in the mirror and I was like, I'm a Division I athlete. We're in season. I'm not playing. We're not practicing and conditioning as much because we're deep into the season. And I just I felt like that didn't make sense. And I didn't feel like myself, and I wasn't contributing to my team. So I started having these feelings that I never had before in my life. What I did was I started to, after games, I would go for a 3-mile run. Nobody else wanted to run with me. We're all in college, the game's over. Let's go eat some food and have a beer.
Yeah.
Maybe. Don't tell coach.
Yeah.
So I started running. I started to feel better. And then I kind of like swimming when I was growing up. I never was on a competitive team, but I would go to the pool and I would swim. So you have the running, you have the swimming. It started to make me feel better. All was good. So fast forward, I graduate. Those feelings just kind of blew up. So I was officially done baseball. I just had an empty feeling, didn't feel like myself. Like you said, you don't have any more competitiveness in your life, really, right? Where your identity was baseball and getting better at it and winning and kicking butt. Gone at the snap of a finger. Didn't play independent baseball, didn't play minor league baseball. So it's just gone. I wasn't really sure what was going on. I just knew I had those feelings, but obviously it was from just turning everything off. So I was like, all right, I got to figure this out. So I kept working out a little bit. I'd swim, I'd bike, I'd run. I still didn't feel great. I joined a men's softball league. I'm like, this will work. The first couple months were cool. And then I didn't like it for some reasons. I think everyone was so competitive there. And I was like, I've already had my time being competitive. This is too much. But I still didn't feel happy. It didn't take care of my void. So then I tried a men's basketball league. Didn't work. I remembered how bad I was at basketball and why I shouldn't be playing basketball. So I still had all these feelings of emptiness. I will say I'm not, and I wasn't then, and I never really have been. And I'm blessed. Like, I wasn't depressed. I didn't have bad thoughts or anything like that. I just could tell like something wasn't right. So come to find out, it was just that no more baseball and no more competitiveness. Softball didn't work. Basketball didn't work. So I ended up getting more into kind of a triathlons, like swim, bike, and run. So it made me feel better. I was getting in shape. I kind of realized like I'm kind of good at it. I think I am, at least swimming against myself and biking against myself. So I ended up at my parents' house. They have a pool. I had, I think, one or two cousins and one or two friends. There were a handful of us. And I just did like, hey, let's swim 20 laps, 40 laps. I don't know. Let's bike 10 miles and let's run a 5K.
Like right there on that spot.
Not that day, but we
Okay.
planned like, hey, in 1 month, or I don't know, maybe it was a couple months. Like, let's just do this. It'll be fun. And of course I kicked everyone's butts, but I don't know. One guy was probably my dad's friend. He was old. My cousin didn't train. Like, so I think I'm the man, right? I don't know why. So, but I felt good. Like it was competitive. I was kind of good at it. So then I signed up for a sprint triathlon, which is, from what I remember, it might take kind of about an hour and a half, I'd say. Swim, bike, run. I did that right outside of Ocean City at Assateague Island. And I was like, I feel good. Like, I feel strong. I feel like I'm in good shape. I started to feel better. Maybe it was time, but I now had something to occupy my time and fill that void. So then I just kept going. Signed up for that same race the next year. The following year after that, I think I signed up for an Olympic distance, which is double a sprint. And then in 2013, so I guess I was 4 years after college, I signed up for half Ironman, which is the 1.2 mile swim, 56-mile bike, and then a half marathon. And I think it took me like 5.5 hours. And I was like, I'm strong. Like, I'm a badass. I felt good. Like, I was proud of it. You have to train for months and hours a week. And I felt like myself again. So that's where I kind of ended up going down the Ironman and triathlon road.
And you talk about the training in when we talked earlier, there was this glowing confidence and this mentality that you had during training. And the way you described it was really powerful, but you were almost invincible during your training. Talk to me about that, how you felt physically and mentally and emotionally during that time.
Yeah. And to start, if I loop back around to kind of what you said earlier, when do you realize that you can fit in? When do you realize maybe you're better than other people? When do you realize that I could be a Division I athlete and some other people can't? But when I started training and I would get really deep into training, you would have these long training sessions where I would just feel incredible. I mean, I would feel like I worked harder than anyone else in the world that day. And I'll touch on that in a second. But then I started having feelings where, man, I played a Division I sport, but this is making me feel just as good or maybe even better. Like now I don't have a coach to make me go work out and try to be successful at this. I'm doing this on my own as an adult with a wife, with a full-time job, with an hour commute each way, with, by the way, with a 2-year-old and a newborn when I trained for Ironman. Thank you, Ashley. Like it was, I was proud of that. But you talk about a mindset. So I look back at some of our teammates that were ultra successful on the baseball field, played minor league baseball, made it very far. And like, I think that my work ethic towards Ironman for that few year period was like, I think I kicked anyone's ass that we played college baseball with. I was in the gym more. I was eating better. I was, I mean, I was just like, I was proud of it. But yeah, I think you kind of talked about like the mindset. And so here's how a lot of my days would look. But a longer day when I was deeper into training would be leave work at 5, get to the gym at 5:15. I'd be in the pool, try to be in the pool by like 5:20, hustle up. But you go for your swim for just say 45 minutes. I would hop on a bike for an hour. I'd then go into the spin class for an hour. I'd go back to the bike for an hour, right? And then, so at the end of that training session, there were so many times that I would be shutting down the gym. I'd get there at 5:15 and I think it closed at 10. You might be there at 10 o'clock. But there were times when I tell my buddies this and they're like, I don't get it. Like I would be in the back of the gym and I would be biking and there's no one else upstairs, no one else downstairs, maybe an employee or two. And I just felt like the biggest badass in the whole entire world. Like no one worked harder than me that day in the world. An Olympic athlete, a professional athlete. I woke up, I went to work, I did my job and I worked hard. And then I was in the gym for 4 or 5 hours and I kicked ass. And then that leads me into kind of like a runner's high or a workout high. And you would just, I mean, I'd be 9:30 at night, pedaling, dripping sweat, almost just back there, kind of probably honestly barking like a dog, drooling, just I'm the man. No one can stop me. You know the feeling, right? You work out. It's
Not to that
incredible.
extent.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you've felt it before. I was
Yeah.
talking to you about just like a runner's high. And I'm never done drugs in my life, but I was listening to 98 Rock a couple years ago and they were interviewing, people were calling in like ex drug addicts or drug users that then became ultra athletes. And they were explaining the difference between a runner's high, they call it, or a workout high versus from drugs. And they were saying that a workout high is just as good or better than drugs. I know that sounds crazy, but the mindset that it puts not just your mind, but your body, whatever your body and your mind goes into is just, it's incredible. And then that's
Yeah.
when I was really hooked on Ironman and trying to be in shape and trying to improve my time for the races. And I kind of really went down like a rabbit hole in that sport. You buy the nice bike, you get the nice wetsuit. You just, I don't know.
You're all in.
It was cool though. I was all in. I felt good. I was happy.
Yeah. Yeah. You were all in. And it's the happiness, like the fulfillment, right? But you're exactly right. The brain mechanisms of that, right? Of the traditional runner's high, intense exercise, certainly not even to the level that you've done. I mean, you surpass kind of that threshold, but it triggers the same reward systems in the brain as does drugs, some drugs. So it releases dopamine, it releases endorphins, endocannabinoids, you know, just in a natural, balanced, safe, healthy way. Now, that can go too far. Certainly, people can take exercise and then, the associated activities and behaviors too far. So even something good like training and exercise, hits that reward pathway, and then it's like, okay, I need more, I need more, I need to get that hit, I need to get that hit, and all of a sudden it impacts life in other ways, right? So
Correct.
you get out of balance in some ways, but in a healthy way, yeah, absolutely. The reward pathways and the brain mechanisms are essentially the same. A lot of the same components.
Yeah. Totally agree. You could kind of go over the edge and it can't take over your life,
Yeah.
which actually that's what I'm trying to work on now. now that I'm done with the Ironman stuff and married with 3 kids and the business, trying to kind of figure out that happy medium of how to exercise and eat better, but also still have fun and enjoy family and friends and stuff like that. It's the lifelong battle that we all go through, I think.
100%. Yep. And there's as much as we want balance and as much as we want that homeostasis, it's a daily juggling, reshuffling, and prioritization. So
Yeah.
you're going through it as well. So you're going through the training process. You're training for a full Ironman. And I want to read something. August 6th, 2014.
Yeah.
Something changed. Something else was with me that day. Jimmy left his house on August 6th for a training ride, planning on traveling into Westminster and then back home. It was a beautiful August day, and I was on a straight, flat road. I'd gone about 20 miles when I was hit. The driver told 911 dispatchers he had struck someone on a bicycle while going 55 to 60 miles an hour. I remember waking up, and I knew my back was broken. Those first 30 seconds were probably the loneliest 30 seconds I had in my life. My legs were underneath my body, and I didn't want to move. I didn't know if I was in the road or if I was going to die or get hit by another car. August 6th, 2014.
Yeah. Oh man. That was obviously a huge event in my life. Hearing you read that just really brings back all the memories. I think I'd probably think about it every day, to be honest with you. But hearing that just really puts me back in that moment of when it happened. And yeah, I remember looking up at the sky. I mean, it was a beautiful day, couple clouds in the sky, sunny, and just I didn't want to close my eyes because I was thinking like, if I close my eyes, they might not open again. And I remember that moment like it's right now. Um, it so that was it's crazy to hear that quote again. But yeah, the guy was speed limit was 55, so let's just say he was going the speed limit. He came over all the way into the shoulder. I was 33 inches over the white line, like into the shoulder where I was supposed to be. 33 inches, it's pretty far. And he hit me in the center of his car. I remember getting hit, flying backwards. And when my head went up, that's when I remember, well, I don't remember anything for probably maybe 30 seconds. And then when I was laying on the side of the road in the grass, that's when I woke back up. And I remember looking up and I saw the guy was getting out of his car and running back to me. Um, yeah, in a ton of pain, knew my back was broken. And I'm lucky to be alive. I'm really lucky that I'm not paralyzed and that I can walk. So the vertebrae that it actually broke, your spinal cord, I don't even know if I've ever told you this, your spinal cord ends on that vertebrae. And apparently I have a birth defect where my spinal cord ends like, I don't know how much, not much, a half inch higher up than everyone else's. And that's the vertebrae it was shattered.
Oh my.
So super lucky. It probably helped that I was training and in good shape, I guess. That's what the doctor said. At least that helped with recovery, I'm sure. But yeah, that's another time that really changed my perspective on life and being thankful to be alive, thankful for your friends, your family. It, that day changed a lot for me.
Yeah. In a moment, in a situation that you wouldn't wish on anybody, and it can put things in perspective real fast. Yeah. So the doctor, it said the quote from one of the articles was, doctors performed an MRI revealing fractured spine, stating this type of injury almost always results in paralysis. And your context of how much of a miracle it is that it didn't in your situation. Wow. I no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, I'm lucky. Uh, very lucky. I don't even know it. I don't know whether you believe in God or whatever you believe in, but I'm not supposed to be here, or I'm not supposed to be able to walk. That's for sure. So I got a second chance at life, and it really makes you. A lot of people maybe they have a story where they kind of it makes them view life in a different way, but it certainly made me be more thankful for things. And every day is you have to be thankful for every day. Every day is a blessing, and it really made it really made me start thinking that way.
But your journey wasn't done.
Nope.
So yeah, it helps certainly when you go into something like that, when you've trained like an athlete, when you put yourself in a position where, and this is why we train. I mean, yeah, we train. In your situation, you train because you had a goal of completing an Ironman, but also we train for life, right? We train because we want to be able to be in a position where if something like this were to happen, God forbid, you're equipped to handle it as best you possibly can. That's why I train. So you go through that and you begin the recovery process. And you've got a great support system. You've got a great family, but you are going through a grueling recovery process. Talk to us a little bit about what that was like.
Yeah, we'll start with, I mean, great family for sure. I'm blessed. My mom and dad live close by. They still happily married, and my brother and sister as well. So it's great support there. My now wife, Ashley, who was my girlfriend at the time, never left my side. She was at the hospital every day. When I came home, she took care of me. My mom took care of me. Um, my dad and brother took care of everything at work. So I had a great support system there. I think your question was, what was that recovery like in the beginning? Was that your question?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, mentally, like when I got hurt in college, obviously different injury, but what does it do for you mentally? I think it kind of looped me back around to that. My mom always said, she's like, it just wears on you. You couldn't go to work. You couldn't train anymore. You had to be helped to get a shower, change your bandage. It really puts things in perspective. Um, it was really hard mentally. Obviously, physically, I mean, I was still in a lot of pain for a long time, but mentally, you're stuck on a couch, you're stuck at home, you're helpless. Thankful for my support team, but it was not easy mentally.
And one of the things that I've learned about pain um, is in some of the last couple episodes I touched on it. This is one of the reasons I want to have you on now, on this idea of pain. And as I've dug into and understanding more of the neuroscience stuff and doing more of the coaching, is pain is multidimensional. So it's physical, it's emotional, it's mental, it's spiritual. Like every aspect of our life can influence our ability, how we view pain, how we feel pain, and how we are able to respond and manage pain. And so when we come with an understanding of pain is more than just physical things, and we have different thresholds, and it can change, what you can endure one day. But you talk about pain. What's your view of pain, um, physical and mental, and what kind of kept you going during those times where it was like, y- today is just one of those days where I'm feeling it. Like it is an absolute grind. I don't know if I can keep doing this. What kept you going?
Yeah, I mean, I've never thought of it that way, kind of the mental side and the physical side. The physical side, it was what it was. It hurt. Um, I mean, I had a ton of road rash all over. When they did the surgery, they had to cut open my side I had so much road rash by my spine that they had to cut open from the side. I want to say it was like a 10-inch cut part of my rib out, an inch of my rib or 2 inches of my rib. And that's where they went in to do the surgery. So I had a lot of pain from that. Had staples in the side, bandages everywhere, and obviously a broken back. So, but physically, I guess to answer your question, I think physically, I grew up around sports. So, like, you always had a trainer. So, when you hurt your arm, you go to the trainer, they give you therapy, it takes care of it. When you're a kid, you have a doctor, you go to the doctor, they take care of it. So, I really trusted in the physical therapist that I was going to, some of the exercises they had me doing at home. I also recovered pretty quickly. So, I was able to see progress pretty quickly, and that helped a lot. The physical side of it was kind of like, I think that was easier than the mental side. The mental
Yeah.
side is, getting over that initial hump of being able to walk or knowing that you can walk and then learn and then being able to walk again or being able to get up by myself again. And then at physical therapy, you start by standing up for 10 seconds. Next thing you know, you can walk down the hallway. Next thing you know, you can do a little bit more and a little bit more. That all kind of took care of itself. But it was a long term recovery. In the short term wasn't as bad as I thought mentally, and it didn't hurt as much as I thought physically. But it's the long term stuff. When am I going to be able to run 20 miles again? And that's what kind of got to me. Like, man, Division 1 athlete training for. I was only like, I think I was 90 days out from doing Ironman, so I was in the best shape of my life. And now learning how to like walk again and pick things up. But mentally what really got to me was how am I going to go from this to being able to swim, bike, and run again for 140.6 miles? That's what really took like a wear on me. I think that in the beginning, the first couple weeks or maybe a month, I was okay with everything because I knew it was going to be a little bit of a process. But I think when I wasn't able to go from 0 to 100 after that first couple months, I think that kicked my butt more than the short term stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. You can see, I think you said it really well. Like you could see the progress, and it can be really tough for somebody like yourself, right? A Division One athlete, best shape of your life, a short time away from competing in one of the most grueling, physically demanding experience races that you can. You're right on that cusp, and all of a sudden you can't walk, you can't
Yeah.
feed yourself, you can't change yourself, right? So that's a mind f, right? Um,
Absolutely.
and but what you described was you were able to see the progress. Okay, yesterday I couldn't do this, today I could. Like those micro progresses,
Yeah.
yes, I get. Like you can see that. But when we take a step back and say, like you said, where am I? When am I going to be able to run 20 miles? When am I going to be able to do this? And that big picture can really screw with our minds. So, did you have any guidance, or at any point were you able to shift that mindset from taking that big picture to boiling it down to what can I control right now and just kind of next hour, next day, next play mentality?
Yeah. I did have the work side of things. So I was excited to get back to work. So that kind of helped as well to make life a little bit more normal at that point. But as far as like training went, I'm trying to think. So August 6th, so August, September, October, November, December, January. It was in February. I went for my first, I actually, instead of just walking, went for a jog.
Mm,
And at that point, it was like when I took those first steps, I was on the treadmill, I'm crying, but at the same time, I was like, it's fucking on. Like
yeah.
it's I'm gonna go from this to this to this to this. Now that I'm running and it felt good. I mean, don't get me wrong, I took it easy and I went slow, but I was like, I'm back, baby. And that like that feeling of I would appreciate every time I had a good milestone. I would remember the feeling and I would kind of build off of that. I didn't really think about any of this throughout that 6 or 8 or 10 month process. But now that you mention it, looking back, there were some milestones that kind of reset me mentally and physically, got me excited again, got me to the next thing. But I remember taking those first steps and I was really excited about that. I'll never forget those. The first time I actually ran.
Powerful, powerful. It's a concept I call chunking, right? And the whole idea is you've got this big picture goal, you've got this big scary goal that you want to achieve, and you got to think about what are the behaviors, the actions, the attitudes, the mindsets, the daily practices that I need to do in order to achieve that goal. And you chunk those and
Yes.
break it down and say, okay, what do I need to do today? And whatever that
Yeah.
is, right? And like if I think about this when I work out, like if I'm doing reps, and if I got like, you know, 15 reps or something to do, or 20 reps, I'll count in threes to fives. I'll go, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 2. Like, it's just that is a way, and I'm not counting to 20. I'm counting to 5 4 times,
Love it.
you
Love
know?
it. Yeah.
And you did that. So 6 months later, you are jogging, you feeling the emotions. And the other thing I love, what I hear right now is a lot of times we can be our own worst enemy. We can be the absolute worst critic of ourselves. And I'm sure that there were moments in there where, it was defeatist, it was challenging, it was like, I can't do this, I'm never gonna do this. I can't even wipe my own butt. Like, I'm sure that there was those moments, right?
Oh,
But
absolutely. Yeah.
you wouldn't talk to another teammate like that. And so a lot of times we are our own worst enemy and we're our own worst teammate to ourselves. And it sounds like you recognize or at least apply that, you know what? I'm the man. I freaking got this. I'm the man. And that is being your own best teammate.
Yeah. Mindset's so important. And
Yeah.
I love that analogy or whatever you want to call it that you just said, because you're right. Like you would never say that to another teammate. You're never going to run again. You're never going to do this again. Like you're going to run again. You're going to run a mile. You're going to run a marathon. You're going to do another Ironman. Like, that's how you talk to your teammates. That's how you talk to your good buddies, right? So, yeah, I guess, again, I didn't know it at the time, but I'm proud of myself looking back. I was pretty good mentally to get myself pumped up and go to the next level.
So you start running, you start training, and you make a decision at some point that you're going to go for it again. Do you remember that
Oh, yeah.
decision?
Yeah, for sure. So at this point, so that was August 6th of 14. I did Ironman Maryland. I was going to do Florida in 14. I did Maryland in September of 17. So a couple years later, at this time, Ashley, who was my girlfriend in 2014, we're married. We have a almost 2-year-old girl. We have I started training, I think, the day after Valentine's Day. Ashley and I had to go get a couple drinks and go out to a nice dinner. And then I turned it all on the next day. But so we started training February, middle of February, and our son, James, was born. He was born in April. So, so it was a joint decision. My wife had to be involved in this decision with a newborn coming, me doing like crazy training. So I told her I wanted to do it, but she already knew. She knew that it was something I had to check off. She knew. So she was 100% on board. As hard as it was for her, she knew what was coming, almost like a single mom life with me doing so much training. But she said, she was like, you need to do this now. We need to let you do this now, because I know if you don't do it now, in 5 or 10 years, you're going to say, I want to do it then. And I'd rather, not in a bad way, but do it now and get it over with. So this isn't hanging over your head or our heads for a long time. So I was in. So a lot of it is like you sign up for the race. When you sign up for the race, like it's on. So I signed up for the race and yeah, started my training the day after Valentine's Day, 2017. So I guess it was February, March, April, May, June, July, August, like 7.5 months of training, I think is kind of what it was. Yep.
Incredible, man. Incredible. You hit by a car, nearly paralyzed, so close to any completely life altering or worse. And you get back on the horse, literally and figuratively. Was there fear in getting back on specifically riding a bike, getting back on the road?
So, yeah, I did not zero. I did two road training rides with friends. Everything else was at my house on a trainer, staring at a wall. I really didn't want to get back out on the road. I'll admit I was nervous and always looking behind my back. The like 2 weeks before, I went with two buddies and we practiced. We did the actual Ironman loop. It's a 2-loop course, but we did one of them. I'm sorry, we did the whole thing. We did 100 miles out of the 112. My two buddies who were with me throughout this whole process, I mean, it's like it's already coned off, and they had my back. There's probably 30 or 40 bikers that day. But yeah, I did only 2 rides on the road. But what's cool about this is I swear the training inside is not as good as the training outside on a bike. Physically, it's close. You can really push yourself in different ways. But mentally, I was, dude, I was a bad, bad man. Like you do 4 or 5 hour bike rides in your room looking at a wall. Like I was more mentally prepared for that bike than anyone else was at that whole entire Ironman that I did. So it was kind of cool. That forced me to understand the mental side of the bike and the training. And I'm proud of that. I'm cool that I got to experience that from my accident.
Do you understand the brain mechanisms there as well, the neurochemistry of that?
No, it sounds like, tell me about it.
Well, so you don't have the external stimulus to keep you going. So a lot of times when you're running, like I'm sure you experience this, so it's like I need to get to the next mailbox, right?
Yeah.
And I need to get the next stoplight, right? Next street, whatever it is. Like you create those, it's chunking again, but you create those markers, those checkpoints. And then when you achieve it, there's a sense of accomplishment. And that internal, again, dopamine, reward pathways, things like that, and the anticipation and the motivation that goes along with it it can be can be brought by external influences, what we see.
Yeah.
When we're in a room, we're on a treadmill and we're not going anywhere, and we've got very, limited what we can do. Yeah, you don't have the same stimulus. So you are strictly your motivation is strictly finishing what you said you were going to start.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have those miles, and you can create them. Like you can look at, I need to get the next minute on the clock, right? Or the next 10 minutes, or I'm going to get this number of miles. But
Yeah.
it's very, very different. And they've got these viral clips of these guys now that challenge themselves to go on cross country flights with no electronics, and it's just sitting there. That's the practice. But that practice of boredom, that practice of accepting, turning off all of this external stimulus, actually does have very potent cognitive and mental focus and mental strength components to it. So it's a very valuable tool.
Yeah. I was very mentally strong. And like I said, I think it made me a badass. It took me to the next level. And if I didn't get hit by a car, I wouldn't have trained that way. And I would have had a different journey to my second Ironman. So that was cool.
So you complete second Ironman. It's 2017.
Yeah. 2017.
Yeah, you complete the Ironman. All of this entire journey, Jimmy, from growing up, getting into college, and dealing with injuries in college, maybe the college career from performance perspective and overall experience wasn't maybe what you signed up for. You graduate college, you get into the workforce, you get into training for an Ironman, and then you get hit by a car and you get back on it again. All of this life experience that you got over this course of 20 years. If there was one lesson that you could encapsulate from all this, what would that lesson be?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot.
Yeah.
Man, so we talked about character, talked about never giving up. We talked about kind of believing in yourself, but also more so being confident in yourself. It's okay to be who you are. If you're the underdog, that's great. But don't ever give up. Don't ever stop. Don't ever not believe in yourself. Continue to work hard, continue to have high character, continue to hustle, continue to be a good friend, a good husband, a good teammate. Do all the right things. Don't stop doing that stuff. And when it's all said and done, I think you're just going to pass one person after another, after another, after another. Not that it's all about passing everyone and being the best and winning, but it leads you to being content with who you are and what your life is and how you've gotten there. So don't give up. Always work hard. Back to what you said, you never know who's watching. So character is so important. You told me to give one thing though, didn't you? That was like three.
Well, I couldn't have said it better.
Yeah.
That was powerful, Jimmy. Again, I got chills, multiple points in this conversation, and that was certainly one of them. Said it beautifully, and you live it. You truly live it. It's been an honor getting to know you, getting to consider you a friend. Look forward to continuing the life journey alongside you and your family, seeing you grow, seeing you successful in business, and just appreciate you. Appreciate your friendship. Appreciate you taking the time to share your story. And I know it's going to make an impact.
Yeah. Right back at you. Hey dude, I love you. We don't tell each other that enough to any of our friends, but I appreciate kind of circling back around and getting to know you and becoming close. And hey, a Mount baseball guy, you're always considered a great friend. So I love
Appreciate it, man.
following along for this journey for your podcast. I mean it, all the mental stuff, like every video that you do that I watch it multiple times and I love it. My son's 9 and he's trying to become an athlete, and it's everything you say. Like, I totally agree. And it's important. I show him some of the videos. He might not understand it yet, but he will one day. So keep grinding. I like it.
I appreciate it. I always say it's lessons that we learned the hard way or too late in life that we're trying to pass along and hopefully provide a positive impact on those around us. So appreciate you. I know it's going to make a positive impact, and I'll let you get back to it.
All right. Thank you.
All right, man.